Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Good morning, Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Jai Sila Das here. So this morning's class, just getting used to the, what's it called? Restream studio, so I think it should be working. I'll just chant Jai Radha Madhava, and then we'll go to the 4th canto, chapter 7, text number 6, the sacrifice performed by Daksha. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Janavallabha Girivardhari Jasodanandana Brajajanaranjana Jamuna Tiravanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Janavallabha Girivardhari Jasodanandana Brajajanaranjana Yamuna Tiravanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Janavallabha Girivardhari Jasodanandana Brajajanaranjana Jamuna Tiravanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Vishnupada Paramahansa Paribrajagacharya Astottara Srimad His Divine Grace Abhay Charanaravinda Bhaktivedanta Goswami Maharaj Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Ananta Gaura Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Prem Sigaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasari Gaura Bhaktivedanta Ki Jai Sisi Radha Krishna Gopinath Shamakun Radhakun Giri Govardhan Ki Jai Shri Vrindavan Dham Ki, Shri Mayapur Dham Ki Jai, Shri Ganga Mai Ki Jai, Shri Munamai Ki Jai, Srimati Tulsi Devi Ki Jai, Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai, Shri Harinam Sankirtan Yagya Ki Jai. All glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to the assembled devotees, all glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga, all glories to Sri Prabhupada. So, Srimad Bhagavatam. Srimad Bhagavatam Puranamamalam Yad Vaishnavam Priyam. Srimad Bhagavatam is the topmost of all Vedic literatures. It is the ripened fruit of all the tree of Vedas. And it is written by Srila Vyasadeva in his maturity for the benefit of those personalities who are stuck here in the material world. It's not a great place to be, and we're advised to get out as soon as we possibly can, but it takes us a while to get it. In the 3rd canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, Devahuti inquired from her son Kapiladev that I think that it's practically impossible to get out of this material entanglement, because you've been explaining to me how intricate the whole thing is, and it seems that it's inextricable to separate the spirit soul from matter. And the answer that comes a few verses later from Lord Kapila is that yes, it is possible, but it's only possible after hearing for a long time. So that's why we hear Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. We have to hear for a long time. It has to be regular. Yes, by regular attendances in the Srimad Bhagavatam. So why is that? Why does it have to be regular? Because if you've noticed, you have to brush your teeth regularly. You have to get up out of bed in the morning regularly. Every morning you need to get up. And what do you have to do at that time is you have to climb through the modes of nature. Guess what? We're in the mode of ignorance when we're sleeping. And you've got to get out of the mode of ignorance. You've got to get into the mode of passion enough to get your feet out of bed and get on the floor and get moving. And the idea would be that we go beyond that to the mode of goodness and then Sudasattva. So this is an ongoing process. It's not that one day we will hear the Bhagavatam and we will get it and everything will be finished. Our material existence will be finished. But for most, it can happen in a second. Srila Prabhupada explained, and Shastra mentions that lava matra. A moment's association with a pure devotee, everything begins. But it's an ongoing process. Just like it's explained, initiation is not an event, but it is a process. It's an ongoing process. So the hearing of the Srimad Bhagavatam has to be done. As I mentioned earlier, we have to brush our teeth every day. We can't say, well, we did it yesterday or a few days ago, so it's okay. No, it has to be done every day. We take our bath at least once, twice, 3 times a day. So this is the ongoing cleansing process. We're really in a muddy place. That's the material body, the mind, polluted mind and consciousness, it's all to be cleansed. Cheto darpanam marjanam. The cleansing of the mirror of the heart. And the process is given. But we have no attraction for the process. That's the problem. O my Lord, your holy name alone can render all benediction on the living beings. Thus you have given. Thus you have hundreds and millions of names like Krishna and Govinda. And in these names you've invested all your transcendental potencies. But I am so unfortunate, Durdaidam Idrisham Ihajani Nanuragaha. I have no attraction for your holy names. Therefore I am stuck. So I have a bit of a problem. And then we're going to connect this hopefully to today's class, which is Trinada Pisanitchena Taroriva Sahishnuna Amanina Amanadina Kirtaniya Sadahari. We have no attraction for chanting, and that's because we don't have clarity around the need to be identifying ourselves properly as a small particle of spirit soul. And that humility is very, very important, as we'll hear about in the sacrifice performed by Daksha. It appears that most living entities have this problem of getting ahead of themselves or getting ahead of ourselves and thinking ourselves to be something very significant when in fact we're really pretty insignificant. Our real significance is that we are Jivara Swarupoi Nityara Krishna Das. We're eternal servants of Krishna, very atomic, very small. But Srila Prabhupada gave us that example that when we have a screw as part of a large machine, separated from the machine, the screw is pretty much useless. You might, oh, it looks okay, but there's no real purpose or use for it. It gets thrown away somewhere. But if it's placed back in its proper place, then it is significance. It's a contributing factor to the overall well-being and running of the machine. So in a similar way, the living entity is very insignificant, especially separated, and that's the most amazing thing. We think we want to become significant in our own separate way, and really we don't make much impact in the material world. We used to have a term called blooping. So when someone left Krishna consciousness in some shape or way, we used to say, "Oh, he blooped." So bloop, if you get a small stone, if you go to the beach or the river bank and throw the stone high in the air, it comes down and it enters the water, and as it goes through, it makes a noise. Bloop. It doesn't make a big splash. And that's pretty much what the living entity in conditioned life is, wanting to make a big splash, but we really are so insignificant that we just are absorbed by the ocean of material existence. So our real significance is when we're put back in connection properly. So more or less, the Bhagavatam is all about that, the performance of all different kinds of activities by all kinds of living entities under the illusory energy of the Lord, and then gaining the access, the connection to reconnect to the internal potency of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And this, as we've said, can be done very quickly. Lava Matra, if you're even a eleventh of a second's association with a pure devotee can begin the process. So it's so important to get that association. But that pure devotee will explain to us that more or less it's a gradual process. It will take time. Okay, so moving into today's verse, it's Canto 4, chapter 7, text number 6. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Text number 6. Maitreya Uvacha Tada Sarvani Bhutani Shutva Midhushta Moditam. I'm just checking, make sure I get the right verse. I think I'm correct. Yes. Paritushtatma bistata sadhu sadhu iti atabruvan. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. The great sage Maitreya said, "My dear Vidura, all the personalities present were very much satisfied in heart and soul upon hearing the words of Lord Shiva, who is the best amongst the benedictors." Srila Prabhupada's purport. I'll read the verse once more. The great sage Maitreya said, "My dear Vidura, all the personalities present were very much satisfied in heart and soul upon hearing the words of Lord Shiva, who is the best among the benedictors." Purport. In this verse, Lord Shiva is described as Midhusatama, Midhushtama, the best of the benedictors. He is also known as Ashutosh, which indicates that he is very quickly satisfied and very quickly angered. It is said in Bhagavad Gita that less intelligent persons go to the demigods for material benedictions. In this connection, people generally go to Lord Shiva, and because he is always quickly satisfied and gives benedictions to his devotees without consideration, he is called Midhushtama, or the best of the benedictors. Materialistic persons are always anxious to get material profit, but they are not serious about spiritual profit. That's a very important point, that materialistic persons are always anxious to get material profit, but they are not serious about spiritual profit. I was listening to a lecture during the week by His Holiness Mahavishnu Swami, our old Gujarati Maharaj, dear friend and mentor and wonderful personality. So I was watching one of his videos, and he was making a very he's such a funny, humorous Maharaj, and he was speaking in Dubai, and to a reasonably large Indian, mainly of gathering, and he was saying that everyone is interested in some assets. That's the idea, the benefits or assets that we can gain. So he said, yes, everyone has assets. You may have wealth, you may have beauty, you may have fame, renunciation, all the qualities of the Supreme. You may have something, and you want to gain some assets. So you might get a big car, a big home, big bank balance. So many things are there as assets. But then Maharaj, in his wonderful humor, put a twist on asset, and he said, yes, this is the same word, asat, asat, assets. So it's assets. So you can gather so many asats, or so-called assets of the material world, but they're all temporary. And that is the big thing to be understood. So Maharaj went on to explain. And anyway, everyone was laughing like anything. They thought it was very funny. And just as we're talking like that, we can share one other one that Maharaj used. There's so many. In the same lecture he gave, that was really nice. He went on to say, he says, in Dubai, he said, it's so hot here. He said, we need AC. So he said, everywhere, everyone should have AC. And he went on, he was exaggerating it so much. And everyone was thinking, what is Maharaj on about? That everyone should have AC. We really have to have AC. It's an absolute necessity. And then he said, we all, everywhere, all over, there should be AC. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. And again, everyone cracked up laughing at Maharaj's humor. But it was a very poignant humor that we all need AC Bhaktivedanta Swami. So we can transform the material assets into real assets instead of being asat or temporary. And then last one I'll share many of these things. And it wasn't in this lecture, but another lecture he was giving. He said we all have to listen, so we have to hear, and we should hear. The most important authority is the BBC, so we have to listen to the BBC. And again, BBC. I don't know if in here in New Zealand, but that was the famous in the UK is the British Broadcasting Company, BBC. So when you hear, you have to listen to the BBC. Everyone's thinking like that. But he said, yes, we have to listen to the B for Bhagavad Gita, B for Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, and Chaitanya Charitamrita. We always have to hear like that. So, yeah. So this is the position, and we're hearing here about Lord Shiva, who is the best among the benedictors. So we are very much interested in getting some benediction. And Srila Prabhupada's mentioning here that we are very keen to approach whoever will give us some material benedictions. And Lord Shiva is the greatest of the Vaishnavas. We also know that is the statement. I'm just trying to think where that is. Vaishnavam Yathasambhu in the 12th canto, Srimad Bhagavatam. It said that he's the greatest Vaishnava, is called Shiva. But people are generally approaching for material profit, and Srila Prabhupada says they're not serious about spiritual profit, mainly because that is we just don't have it very clear. It's not been made very clear to us. We're thinking if I gain some material benefit, then I will become satisfied. That's what we're all searching for. And we are very covered by Maya's influence, and our our real potential for pleasure is not realized in our futile attempts in material life with a small material body and our various types of conditioning that dictates that we act in certain ways. A dog is thinking, if I can get that bone, then I'm going to be happy. If I can just dig up this bone or get a hold of this thing, that will make me happy. Different species of life are thinking in that way. So in a similar way, the conditioned living entity is thinking in that way. And he utilizes his to perceive what's available. He hears, oh, I can go here and do this, I can go and do that. But he doesn't realize that his spectrum is very, very limited. And that's why if we gain association of those who can enlighten us, we can come through the modes of material nature and gradually refine our existence as human beings. Atato Brahma Jignasa is the first aphorism of Vedanta Sutra. It says that one who has attained form of life, and it's corroborated by the Srimad Bhagavatam itself, should not work hard simply for sense gratification, which is available to dogs and dogs that eat stool. That is Lord Rishabhadev's instructions to his son. And he says that those rare human bodies should not work hard day and night simply for that sense gratification, but they should, the human being should engage in tapasya. Tapodevyam putraka yena sattvam sudyed yasmad brahma sokyam tvanantam. That's what we're after. We're after a certain kind of happiness. Now that is not material happiness. We want to be happy all the time, to be freed from the miseries of material life. But the only way to gain that is Brahma Sokyam. That's spiritual happiness. So we're searching for that spiritual happiness, but we're doing it in the material sphere. It's not going to work. It will never happen. So, so that is the beginning of the actual prophet. So we'll hear Srila Prabhupada explains in the second part of the purport. Sometimes, of course, it so happens that Lord Shiva becomes the best benedictor in spiritual life. It is said that once a poor Brahmana worshipped Lord Shiva for a benediction, and Lord Shiva advised the devotee to go to see Sanatana Goswami. The devotee went to Sanatana Goswami and informed him that Lord Shiva had advised him to seek out the best benediction from him, Sanatana Goswami. Sanatana had a touchstone with him, which he kept in the garbage. On the request of the poor Brahmana, Sanatana Goswami gave him the touchstone, and the Brahmana was very happy to have it. He now could get as much gold as he desired simply by touching the touchstone to iron. But after he left Sanatana, he thought, if a touchstone is the best benediction, why has Sanatana Goswami kept it in the garbage? He therefore returned and asked Sanatana Goswami, Sir, if this is the best benediction, why did you keep it with the garbage? Sanatana Goswami then informed him, actually, this is not the best benediction. But are you prepared to take the best benediction from me? Now this reminds us of a story that Srila Prabhupada, in a similar way in Bombay, I think it's shared in Giriraj Maharaj's new book, I'll build you a temple, Srila Prabhupada had said to Rasa Bihari, Radha Rasa Bihari, that he would build a temple for them. So that's Giriraj Maharaj's new book. And I think he explains it in that book that one devotee was translating books for Srila Prabhupada into one of the local dialects of Indian languages. And his father would sometimes come along with to see Srila Prabhupada when his son was meeting with Srila Prabhupada about the translation work. So he was addicted to smoking, and Srila Prabhupada was encouraging him that he should give that up. And he said yes. So he came back after some time and met with Srila Prabhupada, and Prabhupada asked him, how is that going? He said, I've not been able to give this up. I would need your special mercy to give that up. And then Srila Prabhupada said, are you prepared to get that special mercy? I can give you the special mercy, but are you prepared to get it? And he he said, but if I give you this special mercy, then Krishna will act in such a way to remove that, and in such a way that you'll never want it again. And the man said, oh, no, actually, I think I'll do it myself. He didn't want to take the special mercy because that would have been too difficult for him. So I don't know if I explained that so well. It was very clear, actually, in the explanation about how Srila Prabhupada had seen that he wasn't able to accept the special mercy because it meant that he would have to give up possibly quite a few things. Anyway, carrying on with the story. Actually, this is not the best benediction, Sanatana Goswami said, but are you prepared to take the best benediction from me? Brahmana said, yes, sir. Lord Shiva has sent me to you for the best benediction. Then Sanatana Goswami asked him to throw the touchstone in the water nearby and then come back. The poor Brahmana did so, and when he returned, Sanatana Goswami initiated him with the Hare Krishna mantra. Thus, by the benediction of Lord Shiva, the Brahmana got the association of the best devotee of Lord Krishna, and was thus initiated in the Mahamantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So, this whole discussion of the Daksha Yagya is quite a long narration, and many, many things are coming up in this whole pastime. Everyone's performing some sacrifice in the fourth chapter of Bhagavad Gita, different sacrificing. Everyone has to perform some sacrifice. That is also a tapasya, tapodivyam. You have to perform some tapasya. And unfortunately, mostly we are interested, and even the Vedic literatures are directed towards the three modes of material nature. In the second chapter of Bhagavad Gita, text number 45, then we're saying to Arjuna that the Vedas deal mainly with the three modes of material nature. We should become transcendental to those modes of material nature and be established in the self. So this is the actual purpose of the Vedic literatures, but generally it deals with the three modes of material nature for, what's the word, benedictions or benedictors. Lord Shiva is giving the benediction. So usually the study of the Vedas will help us to elevate ourselves to Swarga or Tapaloka or Brahma Loka, heavenly delights we're interested in. We want a better position in the material world. But this is not so intelligent. Krishna is also explaining in Bhagavad Gita that people approach the different devatas and personalities. Now, normally, this is, we can connect that in Indian culture or Vedic, and then Indian culture, this idea of worshipping demigods is there to gain some benediction. Obviously, in the West, that's not so common, and not at all known. But people, Srila Prabhupada explained, they have their devatas, those who can benedict them. One of them is your boss. A big industrialist can give you great position. He can give you position and wealth. So these are demigods. They have high positions and can give benedictions, pretty much. So people are more interested in that, and we think in religious processes that that's the idea. Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name, and we want, give us this day our daily bread, give us something. We approach with the idea of gaining some material benediction. So those who are less intelligent take shelter of the demigods, and they're able to give benedictions. But those who are more intelligent, Krishna says that yanti deva vrata devan pitrim yanti pitri vrataha, that those who are less intelligent will approach the demigods, and they will go to the planets of the demigods. Some will worship the ghosts and the ghosts and spirits. Some will worship the forefathers. But those who worship me can come to me. So this is Krishna introducing this idea that you can choose where you want to perform your sacrifice and what your benefits would be. Where will we go from here? Just a few little notes that I made earlier. Krishna in the 7th chapter of Bhagavad Gita says that after many births and deaths, Bahunam Jamanante Gyanavan Mam Prapajate Vasudeva Sadamati Samahatma Sadurlabaha. So it's Vasudeva Samahatma Sadurlabaha. Oops, we just got a phone call. We better just turn that off. Hare Krishna. Where were we? Bahunam Jamanante. Yeah, after many births and deaths, such a great soul is very rare. Oh no, somebody's going to call it. No. Oh my gosh. Sorry about that. How do you switch them off? Hare Krishna. The technology factors. When you get over 21 like I am, the technology's a bit of a nightmare. Oh no, it's doing it again. Surely not. Okay. Samahatma, such a great soul is very rare. After many births and deaths, he who is in knowledge of me surrenders unto me. Yeah. So again, I'm just trying to get a few notes here. Srimad Bhagavatam, 2nd canto, 3rd chapter. Arkama Savakama Va Moksha Kama Udaradi. Those persons with broader intelligence, whether we are full of material desires, whether we have no material desires, or whether we desire liberation, by all means must worship the supreme whole, the personality of Godhead. So whether we, it's very clear, that verse, that whether we have no material desires, whether we're full of material desires, Krishna is advising that we should approach the supreme personality of Godhead, because all of these benedictions are granted by him ultimately. Everything is going under his direction. Krishna says this whole material nature is working under my direction. There's also an interesting word, paritushta, in this verse. It means being satisfied. Tushta is satisfaction. I'm just trying to see where it's saying that the personalities present were very much satisfied, paritushta, in heart and soul upon hearing the words of Lord Shiva. So Lord Shiva has been placated by Lord Brahma in the previous chapter, chapter 6. Lord Brahma has, again, it's interesting to see Lord Brahma is senior to Lord Shiva in one sense. Lord Shiva appears from the eyebrows, from the forehead of Lord Brahma. So Lord Brahma is the father in that sense, but he has to see his actual position is that Lord Shiva is superior, although he's appearing in that way, coming through Lord Brahma. So that's not easy. It's a bit of a tricky arrangement. And we see in a similar way that Daksha himself was thinking himself to be in a superior position. He was actually the father-in-law, so the son-in-law is certainly in an inferior position. So he thought like that. So his consciousness was polluted. Again, go back to the statement, Jivara Swarupoi Nichara Krishna Das, Krishna Tatasta Shakti. We're actually that small thing called the spirit soul. And we get so puffed up by thinking that we're something very special. So Daksha became puffed up, and he got embroiled in this whole thinking himself to be the father-in-law, and my son-in-law is not standing up. How dare he? Everyone else is standing up, and then we have the whole yagya, the whole Daksha yagya goes on. So we see Lord Brahma approaches, and he advises Daksha and the devatas and sages to approach Lord Shiva immediately because he is a very exalted personality. It's said, I was trying to think of that earlier too, the different percentages. We have Lord Brahma is total 78% has the capacity, the Jivatma has the capacity to have 78% of the qualities of the Supreme Lord. And then we have Lord Shiva, I think it's around 84%, 83%. Lord Shiva it's a whole discussion of the category. There's a special category. It's not Jiva Tattva and it's not Vishnu Tattva. That is the manifestation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead's potency for the purpose of annihilation. So Lord Shiva is a unique category, not Jiva Tattva and not Vishnu Tattva, but Shiva Tattva. So he is manifesting 83, 84% of the qualities of the Supreme manifestation of Godhead. And then Vishnu Tattva is 93%. And then we find Krishna Stu Bhagavan Swayam. Ite Chamsa Kala Pumsa. Krishna Stu Bhagavan Swayam. Indrari Vyakalam Yokam. Mridayanti Yuge Yuge. It's said that the Lord appears in so many incarnations as the Chamsa Kala, so plenary portions, and portions, the Kala is the plenary, the portion of a plenary portion. So there's the plenary portions, which plenary means complete. So the plenary portions are these incarnations, Vishnu Tattva, and then portions of a plenary portion, the Kalas. So this is the Lord, but Krishna Stu Bhagavan Swayam. Krishna is the original Adi Purusha. So that is the Supreme Lord. 100%, all the qualities are manifest in that aspect of the Supreme Truth. What is it? Another one it's interesting to know in the Bhagavad Gita, as Krishna is saying, 434, you should approach the spiritual master, inquire submissively, render service, and that self-realized soul can impart knowledge unto you. Why? Because he's seen the truth. He's established in the truth. And then the verse after that says that when one is thus learned the truth, he will know that all beings are but part of me, are in me, and are mine. So this is the statement of Bhagavad Gita, of Krishna in Bhagavad Gita. He says that, and when you have thus learned the truth, you will know beings, all living beings are but part of me, and that they are in me and are mine. They're not different. So this is the amazing thing. Lord Shiva and Lord Krishna are not different. The living entity and Lord Krishna are not different. They're the same. They're one. Mayavad philosophy, no. They're one and simultaneously they are different. Achincha Veda Abeda Tattva. So this is we understand as the Siddhanta of the Vaishnava philosophy given by our Brahma-Madhva Gaudiya Sampradaya, Lord Chaitanya, and Achincha Veda. It's an amazing philosophical lineage that is coming. So this is the conclusive understanding. So Lord Shiva is not different from Krishna. He is manifesting over 80%, 4% of the qualities of Godhead. So this is Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, expanding and manifesting his potencies in different ways, at different times, different capacities. It is explained that Lord Shiva, we've heard many times, that Lord Shiva is like curd, and that the Supreme Lord Krishna is milk. So there's no difference between curd and milk, but milk contains all the potency. From milk you can gain curd, you can gain all kinds of milk products, but from curd you cannot have milk. So there is a less potency there. But very much it's understand that Lord Shiva is non-different from Krishna, and he's possessing so so much potency. And we're hearing how he's, in this whole chapter, we'll be hearing the glorifications. There's a very nice prayer in the 44th verse, where the Vidyaharas offer prayers to the Supreme Lord Narayan. That's again the plenary portion of Lord Krishna. Text 44, we'll just quickly go to it and see if we can gain something from that. Text 44. The Vidyaharas said, "Dear Lord, this human form of body is meant for attaining the highest perfectional objective. But impelled by your external energy, the living entity misidentifies himself with his body and with the material energy, and therefore, influenced by Maya, he wants to become happy by material enjoyment. He is misled and always attracted by temporary, illusory happiness. But your transcendental activities are so powerful that if one engages in hearing and chanting of such topics, he can be delivered from illusion." I thought that was a very beautiful prayer. So all the different great personalities are offering prayers to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Gandharvas are saying something, the Vijaharas are saying something, the different demigods are offering prayers. The fire god said something to the Lord. The personified Vedas speak and offer prayers to the Lord. And who else is so many personalities? The great mystics in this whole, the great governors of various planets spoke to the Lord. "My dear Lord, we believe only in our direct perception, but under the circumstances we do not know whether we have actually seen you with our material senses." So they're offering their prayers. The wife of Daksha, and that's another whole discussion again, she's offering prayers. The Siddhas prayed. So it's very nice. Everyone's offering great prayers to Lord Shiva. So I am thinking that I've said enough. It would be good to have some reflections. How can we get the courage to take the special mercy? There is fear that it will be painful. Oh, somebody has put something up. So that's a kind of reflection I get that whoever's put this up. How can we get the courage to take the special mercy? There is fear that it will be painful. I wasn't thinking there'd be something up there, but how can we get the courage to take the special mercy? Yeah, let that sink in. I'm trying to get that, allowing it to penetrate my dull brain. How can we get the courage? There's so many ways you could go to answer, so we can only give one little answer, possibly. I mean, obviously, one that comes to mind is to get the association of persons who have accepted the special mercy. It's all about association, really. That's, as I say, I'm challenged by the question in the sense that there may be different ways we could respond. I suppose fear is based on ignorance. So if we're ignorant of what it means to get the special mercy, so the special mercy is that Krishna says, "Sarvadhamam prityagyam mamikam saranam vraja aham tvam sarvi papibhyo mokshayashyami masachaha." He says, don't be fearful. Abandon all other kinds of religion or dharma and surrender to me. I will protect you from all, I will deliver you from all sinful reactions. Don't be afraid. Don't be fearful. So Krishna's anticipating that fear. The living entity is always fearful. That's always with us, that fear. When you think about it, we should be terrified. We're in a precarious position. There's danger at every step, isn't it? Padam padam yadvi padam natesham. There's danger at every step in this world. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur has It's written that our life is like a drop of water on a lotus petal. In his bhajan, he's singing like that. So it's so precarious. At any moment we can be finished. So we're thinking it's so important, the body we have now and our existential experience of existence, but it's such a precarious thing. And Krishna is saying, don't be afraid, surrender to me. I will deliver you from all sinful reaction. So if we can get that idea, we think, oh, I can't surrender, but we are surrendering. We surrender. We're taking shelter. I can't take. Surrendering means to take shelter. So instead of taking shelter, it's too fearful. It's just like, for example, that man to take shelter of Prabhupada. We're thinking we can take shelter in our life that we have. Yes, and again, the Bhagavatam points that out all over the place. That we think our land of birth to be worshipable. We think our family members are permanently our own. Yashatma Buddhi Kunape Tridatuke Svadi Kalatradij. We think the land of our birth to be worshipable. We think, and giving us shelter. I'm safe here in America. I'm safe here in India. I'm safe here in New Zealand. I'm safe, whatever our land of birth may be. We feel we have a sense of security around that. These are my family members and friends, and I feel safe there. But actually, this is not a very safe. They're called fallible soldiers, and they're not permanently. We have obviously responsibilities to perform, and we have to act in a proper way, and all of that. But to think this is my permanent shelter, so we're fearful when we're in ignorance. But if we actually take shelter, Krishna says, I will deliver you. And that's our real difficulty, is the sinful reactions. That is causing us the problem. We are suffering now. Why? Due to our past sinful activities, we're experiencing all kinds of karmic reactions. That's our situation that we're in. That's the reality we're experiencing now due to past activities. So just to continue in that way, thinking that I'll find some shelter. And what's that shelter? Again, happiness we want to experience. So it's a faulty conclusion of thinking that somewhere, somehow or other, in this life or next life, I'll worship this person, that person, to make the adjustment. So Krishna says, give it all up. Abandon all these different activities and surrender to me. So Krishna is able to do that. And again, so the faith has to be developed. And that's developed. Ado Shraddha. The beginning is faith. And then we take the association. Sadhu Sangha. You take some association. And then you take up the process. Bhajana Kriya. Anatta Navriti. And so on and so on and so on. So that's the whole process of extricating ourselves, coming out from the curtain of Maya, Maya's curtain, the illusory energy. So how to get the courage then is to gain some knowledge, gain some understanding, see the reality of our situation. So this is all transcendental knowledge to dispel the ignorance so that we can have the courage to take the special mercy. I remember speaking recently at the loft, and there was one young lady who was saying that she had heard what we were saying. She was saying this fearful thing. She said, actually, it was very honest the way she related it. She said, I get, but it's too big of a leap for me to take this. I've been hurt so much in my life. And she was very honest. So then we were explaining that it's a gradual process. It's not that you have to. The special mercy is given very, it's given very gently to the point that if you can't hear too much, if it's too difficult to hear, you get too scared, then take a little prasadam. It's okay. That's the special mercy. Take a little prasadam and then come back for some more prasadam. Take it gradually. So we don't have to frighten ourselves or others by, so we can do it that way. So that the pain will be a gradual, and for all of us, I'm pretty sure it was a gradual, well, not for everyone, but for many of us, it's a gradual process. And for most of us, it began through prasadam in some way or other. Or let's say prasadam was there to save us very quickly. You may have got a book and the knowledge was there, but pretty soon the prasadam came along to soften everything and make it very attractive. And we were talking about that just yesterday, that prasadam, for most people, it seems just food. It's the same. There's same ingredients, etc. But it's completely transcendental. It's Krishna. Krishna is there through the love. And I was just, now it's coming back to me. I was just saying, you can actually taste that when there's different kinds of prasadam also. There's something you, that's another whole subject matter. But anyway, you can taste when it's been offered with love and devotion. The more love and devotion and care that's been is there in preparing the offering to Krishna with love and with the mood of trying to, like for example, at a Rath Yatra, I was just mentioning, I went to the Buddhimanta's Rath Yatra, I think it was last year or the year before. We went the last 2 years, but I think it was just last year. And I was so impressed by the prasadam. I was really, really, I said, who was cooking and who cooked this preparation and who cooked that? But it was so good. It was so nice. And I really, really relished the prasadam because you could see the devotees had really, they cooked it so well and so nicely. They'd spared no expense. It was very, very nicely. Yeah. It was, and yeah, everything was good. It was served so nicely. It was presented nicely. It tasted good. It was really, really good. And so I would that was one, and I'm sure we've all so many examples of how you get some special Mahaprasadam. And you can really taste the bhakti. It's different. It's not just eating some food. So it's Krishna. Krishna is present in the food, and we bring it back to what we talk. Krishna is present in the Bhagavatam. When Krishna departed from this world, he became manifest in the Srimad Bhagavatam at the same time, just as he was departing. Srimad Bhagavatam was presented, and people will get light from this Bhagavat Purana by the association of Krishna through the Bhagavatam. So Krishna is everywhere. Yes, so you'll get Krishna Prasadam, and you'll get Harinam, and you'll get Srimad Bhagavatam. These are forms of the Lord until we can get to the point where we can't see Krishna everywhere in everything. Okay, so I think we better finish there. Thank you for your question, and there's so much more to hear, so we'll hear tomorrow more about the sacrifice performed by Daksha as he continues. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki Gaur Premanandi. How do we stop there? How do we stop it? I can